What's up? I'm Jacob and we're back here with the Trans Rights team featuring Galarian Rapidash. I'm very excited to use this team again. I used it on stream yesterday. Didn't do so hot, but I think most of the losses there were user error. I clicked Water Spout into a Solgaleo with Wide Guard. I tried to switcheroo when the opponent had a Sarina on the other side of the field. Just mental errors that early in the season I think are fine to happen. But looking forward to today. Had some really good games, and it ended up performing a lot better today than I did on the stream yesterday. So again with the Rapidash team. The other video went a little bit more in depth into what the team does, but quick overview again. Very, very bulky Dialga with the Assault Vest can live pretty much any hit. Very rarely are you going to be able to one-shot the Dialga. Kyogre's Kyogre, it just does a ton of damage. The Rillaboom and Landorus are really there to just shore up some problem matchups. Landorus for the Sun matchup. The Lumberry protects against Venusaurs, protects against Will-O-Wisps, so it is a really good max option in that regard. The Rillaboom, can just sit on a Gastrodon or a Kyogre on the other side of the field, which I don't have great damage into otherwise. Also, why Whimsicott has Energy Ball, of course, the Switcheroo Eject button is something that can always swing a match right on its head. And then lastly, of course, the glue holding the team together is that Rapidash. The Focus Sash there, so it survives at least one hit, and usually that's all it's going to because it is so frail. But the Hypnosis, the Heal Pulse, the Ally Switch, again, can just introduce a ton of variance to the game, but can put you in a really favorable position if you're able to get the Rapidash in on the right turns, can Heal Pulse the Dialga back up during its Dynamax, can Ally Switch to protect your other Pokemon from damage, and of course the Hypnosis is, you're never out of a game if you've got a 60% chance to hit a Hypnosis. So, very fun team, looking forward to it. This is going to be the last time I record with it, at least on this channel, but I want to get your opinions too on what the team does. So, of course, PokePaste rental code down in the description below. You see the rental code on the screen now too. Let me know what you think while you're there. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a follow, and answer the question of the day, which is, what's your favorite regional variants? I think, Galarian Rapidash is definitely one of my favorites. Ponyta I think I like a little bit more than Rapidash because, in Sword and Shield at least it has the glowing mane, and I think it looks, it's just very cute, very fun little Pokemon. But, of course the Alolan Sandshrew, Alolan Sandslash line, gotta show my love there. Alolan Dugtrio too, I think is just a funny guy. I like the little hair. And the fact that it's a Steel type too, I think is just pretty rad. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. And let's get into the video. Alright, first battle of the day, and pretty unconventional team. You see the Zekrom there, that isn't super common. Galarian Moltres is cool, as is Blastoise. Definitely feels like, weakness policy Zekrom that they're trying to proc, but it could also be weakness policy Moltres with the Comfey. So gotta be worried about that. Honestly, Rapidash's damage output this game could be pretty significant with Play Rough. We are max attack, so at least we'll be doing a little bit of damage, but I definitely do want to try to get Tailwind up if I can. Yeah, if they go, if they also lead Whimsicott, I think I'm in a little bit of a weird spot. I don't like Kyogre too much here. I like Dialga. I think I have to bring Rapidash, and that's either Landorus or Rillaboom. Rillaboom could be really nice into their Kyogre, where Landorus gives us more options into the Zekrom, into the Moltres. It's tough. I'm going to go Landorus here, and the game plan for their Kyogre is just, bludgeon it to death with Dialga, I guess. Yeah, it's, it always interesting fighting these, unconventional restricted pairs that you don't see too much. So we'll see how they approach it, too. I think that'll be, from the lead matchup, I think that's going to be really interesting. And so, Galarian Moltres, they are using the Shiny Moltres, which is cool. This does scream to me weakness policy on Moltres. Unfortunately, I can't switcheroo the Moltres because it's a Dark type, even though, it looks like looks like a Cantonian Moltres, I guess is what you would call it. So this could be a pretty free Tailwind. I do like the idea of Tailwind and Rockfall into the Moltres, just trying to do as much damage as possible. The downside there is I don't think if they max, I don't think Rockfall is going to KO. But it'll definitely 2-hit KO, and especially if we can get a Helping Hand up too. So let's Rockfall into the Moltres. The other downside of this is that I do this a lot, where with this team in particular, I really tunnel in on getting the lead right, and trying to get turn 1 right. And usually that involves a Dynamax of some sort, whether it's usually Dialga, but it could be a Landorus, could be Kyogre, could be whatever. But bringing Landorus in the back here, I don't know how much value I'm going to get out of non-maxed Landorus. I think the real... I mean, the real value of Landorus would be if they Airstream into Whimsicott. I'd have it as a switch in this turn, between turns 1 and 2. But I don't think I needed to max Dialga here. But they do Draining Kiss. It is Weakness Policy Moltres. So we got that right. They are going to be +2, and then the Rockfall likely isn't going to KO, so we're going to put them into Berserk range, give them +3. And with the Assault Vest, I'd expect that Dialga still lives a Max Darkness. Whimsicott, yeah. So that is going to be a 2-hit KO. But of course, the other downside is that they have Floral Healing. So let's hope they go for Airstream onto Whimsicott to give us a little bit more offensive pressure. But it is Darkness. It is going to go into Dialga. And we do take that really well, actually. Wow, we didn't even take half from that. I know Dialga's bulky, and with the Assault Vest, definitely, but wow. We are going to feint to another one, though, because of the Special Defense drop, which is unfortunate. They can Floral Healing, but in max, Floral Healing is only going to bring back 1/4 of their HP, and with a Helping Hand, even if they Floral Healing, I think we do get the KO with the Rockfall. Because if they get a quarterback of their HP, they'll be just above half. They'll be like 55%, and we did about half without the Helping Hand. So with the Helping Hand, we should be able to get this KO still. And if we can get a KO here, so yeah, of course the Floral Healing comes out. If we can get the KO here, that puts us in a really good spot. It's going to be close, I think. So let's see how much damage this does, and that's huge. That's amazing. Okay, no crit too. Yeah, so I got the Head Calc right. I got a Head Calc machine going early today. Okay, so that puts us in a pretty good spot because we still have one more turn of max. Comfey really doesn't put on any offensive pressure of its own, and it's Blastoise. So just like how I am left with a Landorus in the back that doesn't do too much outside of max, their Blastoise, it's likely a yawn into the Dialga. I can switcheroo the Blastoise to keep from getting yawned to this turn. I think I like that play, actually. I think a switcheroo into Blastoise and then go with a max. Would I Quake or Steel Spike? I think it's more likely that they have Zekrom in the back than Kyogre, because they see the Rillaboom, they see the Dialga, so I do want the defense boost against the Zekrom. Comfey protects, perfect. I'm not going to target that slot anyway. Not really worried about that Pokemon. But we do Switcheroo. Let's see what item we get from the Blastoise too. If they're not max, it likely will con. Yep. So we can trick the useless Wakan Berry up to somebody later too, which would be nice. We do get the defense boost. We force the Blastoise out so we don't get yawned this turn, which is very, very nice. And now they'll have to show us the last. And I think either one, whether it's Kyogre or Zekrom, I think we're in a pretty good spot. So we've got the defense boost for Zekrom, and we've got, yep, perfect. And even if it was Kyogre here, Kyogre just doesn't do that much damage. Now I do need to target down this Comfey, because they can just keep healing up Zekrom, and that's not ideal. So They just protect on that slot. They could swap Comfey out into Blastoise, which would be less than ideal. I can go into Landorus for the Whimsicott, because I do want to preserve the Whims, get a Tailwind up later, and Landorus really doesn't offer me too much here. I don't know if a Flash Cannon would KO Comfey just straight up here, because we're not Life Orb. But we'll see. If we do get the KO with Flash Cannon, I think that puts us in a fantastic spot. But well, actually, we would switch first anyway because we have Tailwind, so I don't know if they're going to switch yet. Zekrom protects, though. Okay. So we've gotten all the protect turns right so far. Zekrom protects, we Flash Cannon into the Comfey. How much does this do? And it does just cleanly get the KO. So that attack drop now is going to stick onto the Zekrom. We force the Blastoise back in. And our Landorus is maybe faster than the Zekrom. We don't know for sure because Tailwind goes out and we are not max speed on Landorus. We're 150 stat. So if they're max speed Zekrom, they will outspeed us. But I don't think there's much they can do to us at this point. So I'm pretty comfortable just clicking Earthquake here. It's going to do a lot of damage into my own Dialga, but I do have the defense boost. And I imagine they're going to target down the Dialga anyway. Actually, let's Rock Slide. Let's go for Rock Slide flinches. Because I don't think Dialga faints to anything, and they just protected Zekrom, so I can get off a Roar of Time into that slot. I think is actually going to be the best way to spend my time here. But Landorus is the fastest Pokemon on the field. Perfect. So we get a little bit of chip on Zekrom. We have the flinch chance, and Dialga's faster. Okay, so yeah, they're not very speedy at all, and we do just get that KO. Perfect. Yeah, because if I do Earthquake there, you know, I wouldn't expect Dialga to faint, and we flinch the Blastoise too. I wouldn't expect Dialga to faint to the Self-Earthquake because we're at +1 defense. And again, this is a very bulky Landorus, so we don't have too much attack investment, but you know, there's always the chance to crit ourselves. And of course, Dialga has to recharge this turn, but I don't think there's really anything the Blastoise can do at this point in the game. You know, we've got the Lumberry on Landorus, so even if they go for like Yawn strats, we're safe there, and they do just cancel. So quick win in game 1 here for the Rapidash team. I love to see it, and we will be on to the next one. Alright, game 2 today, and we're battling Kira, who's got another interesting set of restricted Pokemon. The Yveltal Dialga combination's probably one of the worst that we could face, all things considered. So that's not great for us. The Jinx, Talonflame, and Raichu are all really interesting picks too. I don't think the Landorus is going to come here. I would imagine Raichu is probably one of their picks. If they don't bring the Talonflame, they don't have any Tailwind pressure, which could be really, really nice. I think this definitely is a max Landorus game. This is definitely a game where I want to go, I think, Whimsicott and then Kyogre just to get off some damage early if we go like Tailwind Water Spout turn 1. And then we bring Dialga and Landorus in the back. We could also bring Landorus, forgo Dialga, and just go Rapidash. I like the... Let's see. I like the Power Gem, though, on Dialga to be able to just, you know, deal some pretty good damage across the board to their team. So let's actually go Whims Dialga. We'll leave Kyogre at home again. And we will not max Dialga turn 1 this game. Yeah, I find myself with this team a lot not bringing Kyogre. I think Kyogre's really good into, you know, into Sun a lot of times because you have the weather control option. I can be, you know, really effective if the other team doesn't have any Tailwind pressure, if I'm able to just get that Tailwind and go from there. But into, like, Dialga, into opposing Kyogres because we don't have Thunder on ours, you know, I feel like Kyogre's damage isn't always the greatest. Okay. So we do just go Tailwind Dialga for both of our leads, which is fine by me because we shouldn't faint to any attack that their Dialga goes for, and they are likely going to want to max turn 1. So we can switcheroo, and I mean, we could switcheroo Earth Power that slot, we could switcheroo any attack, really. But let's go Earth Power just for like a little bit more damage. They withdraw. Could go into Yveltal. They go to Landorus. Okay. So they do try to bait my Max Quake into that slot, which I think is a smart play. So they have both their flying types on the field. This would be the one, the big benefit to this would be the big benefit to clicking Flash Cannon into that slot over Earth Power. But you do see Whimsicott there with the max HP. We're able to live the dual Wing Beat from the Talonflame. We can go out. I think I want to go out into our own Landorus to get the Intimidate down on their side. And this could be a really good spot now to max our Landorus, start getting Airstream boosts. We can stagger our Tailwind, all that good stuff. So it could be good, because I know no more attacks coming out from their side this turn. We'll see no White Herb from their Lando, and the Earth Power force is wasted. But that's fine. That is absolutely fine, because we're in a pretty good spot. They're at -1, and we're super physically defensive on Landorus. So what I want to do here... Is it greedy to try to get a Swords Dance up? I don't think I'm under too much offensive pressure. The worst thing they could do is like a Will-O-Wisp from Talonflame, but we have the Lumberry for that. So I do think a Swords Dance, and then... I think Swords Dance and Power Gem into Talonflame could be a pretty powerful play for us. They do just Tailwind, they don't max, that's I think a smart call on their end. Let's see what their Landorus does. Yep, just Earthquake. It's going to do a bit of damage to Dialga, but they are at -1. So we might take 2. We do. That's very, very nice. Talonflame, I would expect to be Focus Sash. So I don't think we're going to get the KO with Power Gem this turn. But that's absolutely fine, because, again, they're just not dealing... They're not sashed. Okay. Okay, fine by me. So Talonflame goes down. That's one where I don't know if I actually wanted to take that KO, because it allows them to bring in their Dialga. They could have like a max Hailstorm, which could be pretty troublesome for us. Their Telepathy, so they can go for another Earthquake pretty freely with Dialga, or with Landorus next to Dialga. We don't have Tailwind up. I would think on this team comp, you do have Jinx, but I would think, Max Hailstorm makes a ton of sense. But if we just Quake into their Dialga, if we just double into that slot, and we end up getting both attacks off this turn, that's potentially game winning. And it does really rely on them having the Hailstorm, because any other attack should not KO our Dynamax Landorus. We also would have the option too that if they target into our Dialga, reading into like a Max Guard, which was my other play. My other play there was just Max Guard Landorus, hope that Dialga goes down, and get Whimsicott in, get a Tailwind up next turn. But yeah, I mean, this game from the get-go, this game is all about hinging our hopes on Dynamax Landorus. We got the Swords Dance up, we're in a good spot, we have Whimsicott in the back to pressure a late game Tailwind, they Earthquake, Telepathy, we aren't affected on Landorus, so they're not going to KO, they're not going to KO Dialga with that turn. And they do a Steel Spike, okay. So they Steel Spike into Landorus, we should take that pretty well, decently well, not super great, because they're likely Life Orb, but there is going to raise their defense. The question now is effectively a +1 Max Quake plus an Earth Power. How much does that do? And it might just get the KO. That's a ton of damage from Max Quake. Wow. I mean, Landorus is strong. Don't get me wrong. Landorus is extremely strong. So even with just the 68 attack EVs, yeah, perfect. That just puts it right into range for the Max Quake. And that's wonderful. We get that KO. Easy there. They don't have another Tailwind. This next turn, they are going to be faster, but very easy play for us, just to Max Guard Landorus and attack with Dialga, let Dialga go down. We get the Tailwind up next turn. So yeah, I think we're in a really good spot, especially positioning-wise in this one. So they bring out Jinx. That's definitely spooky and definitely going to be faster, but this is their last turn of Tailwind. They have 2 more. They have 2 more turns of Tailwind. So what we'll do, we have Rapidash in the back, right? What we'll do here is actually, we'll max guard with Landorus and just try to get an attack off into Jinx. If Talonflame wasn't holding the Focus Sash, then I would think certainly it's got to be on Jinx, so we want to get just a little bit of damage if we can. The Ice Beam, of course, into that slot. That's definitely going to take us out. And the Earthquake, I mean, the Earthquake's going to do damage to their own Jinx. Yeah. They crit Dialga for, what, the 14 HP we had left? That's fine. And they do a ton of damage to their own Jinx. So we go now Whimsicott. We go now into Whimsicott. We can get our Tailwind up. And how do we play this end game? I think we have to get Landorus back in with Tailwind. Communications interrupted. Okay, I think that's them. I don't think we dropped anything. So that game definitely wasn't over because it still relied on us hitting a couple of rock slides. But we would be able to... Let's check their team while I'm rambling here at the end, but it is Wide Lens. Okay. That's a really risky play then, to Earthquake next to your own Jinx, unless you are very comfortable with that calc. Yeah, Wide Lens for the lovely Kiss, of course. Life Orb Dialga we saw. Safety Goggles on Landorus is really cool. Yeah, and for pretty much the same reason that we have the Lumberry. The Safety Goggles block Sleep Powders from Venusaurs. The Lumberry blocks Sleep Powders from Venusaurs, as well as, you know, your Will-O-Wisps and, you know, Rogue Paralysis, things like that. Weakness Policy of Veltal. Do they have a way to activate that? I guess Volt Switch. You know, if they would go like Raichu Volt Switch. And Mental Herb Talonflame. Cool. I mean, cool team overall. I think it's really, you know, the weakness policy of Veltal is definitely spooky. If they were able to get that out, they ended up not bringing it. But yeah, no, the end game of that one required me to hit at least one Rock Slide onto the Jinx. So my play that next turn, I Tailwind with Whimsicott. I switch Landorus out into Rapidash because I have the Focus Sash. I'll stick around for another turn. I can get the Tailwind up on their last turn of Tailwind, so that whenever, you know, either Whimsicott or Rapidash, whichever goes down first, we bring in our own Landorus. I have the speed advantage. I'll be able to KO the Jinx with a Rock Slide. Their Landorus is going to be a -2, not going to be doing any damage to us anyway, so we'll be able to just kind of clean up from there. Is the end game. I think that was my path through that end. Definitely wasn't over, and I don't think, you know, I don't think that's a position where you DC on purpose, but yeah, good game, and let's get to the third. All right, and just moving right along. It's been a really quick video so far. A couple of pretty quick wins, and I've been able to find opponents really quickly, which is nice, especially early in the season. So it's going to be pretty offensive. Calyx, Shadow Rider, and Zacian, they do have Tailwind of their own in Whimsicott. The Charizard's spooky. Charizard definitely is... Well, Charizard's actually not the worst matchup, because we do have the Power Gem on Dialga, we've got Landorus with Rock-type moves. Sunny Day Whimsicott, likely there. The Porygon 2 is their Anti-Trick Room, and Zapdos, which if it's the Eerie Impulse set, is actually probably the biggest threat on their team. So what do you want to do here? I haven't brought the Rillaboom at all this episode, but I don't think that this is the matchup for it either. I've led Whimsicott all 3 times. I think I have to lead it again here. And if we go Whims, Dialga with Kyogre and Rapidash. The thing is, I like Kyogre a lot to deal just big chunk damage. It can live a hit from their restricteds. But I like Landorus a lot too. Yeah, let's go Kyogre Rapidash. The Focus Sash on Rapidash I think is going to be really key here in this matchup. The Landorus, I think, you know, the best 4 objectively are probably Whimsicott, Dialga, Kyogre, Landorus. And so the trouble I was running into, and I didn't want to risk running out of time in team preview, trouble I'm running into is you know, it's the Rapidash video. I want to bring Rapidash. We're already 2-0, so we're just playing with house money at this point anyway. Zapdos Whimsicott. So not what you love to see. Zapdos Whims. Zapdos is Pressure, which is definitely interesting. I think Tailwind and, you know, Max Airstream into our Whimsicott is pretty likely. If they're not Life Orb, I don't think the Airstream would KO our Whims, which would be pretty sick. They could also Tailwind and Eerie Impulse Dialga, so I really don't want to max this turn. I would love to Switcheroo, because I can Switcheroo anything, and if I take away a Life Orb, I don't think... I wouldn't expect a Max Airstream to KO our Whimsicott, which would allow us to come back in later, get a late game Tailwind, and yeah, especially if we're able to either stall out or just completely deny our opponent's Dynamax, I think that is massive. And even if Whimsicott goes down this turn, having the Dynamax completely in our advantage, I think is going to be huge in this game. So let's see, I think Tailwind from them is always pretty likely. I guess not, as we are going to take away a Life Orb. And they're just also min speed, or not min speed, but they also just don't have any investment. So they're Trick Iron Ball. They max Flare into the Whimsicott. That's not Stab, and it does KO. Okay. So that's unfortunate. It is a crit. I was going to say, I'm like, that feels like a crit. Because I wouldn't expect a Max Flare to KO. And so that is a bummer. We are going to just eliminate the Zapdos from the field, at least for now. You know, they'll have to come back, but they're not going to be maxed. We don't get Tailwind, and our Dialga loses the Assault Vest. So all in all, a lot happened that first turn, but I don't know if it's entirely in our favor, is the problem. The benefit, though, is that we get to see what they bring in first. So it's going to be the Calyrex. I haven't clicked Hypnosis at all this game with Rapidash. And I think this might be the place for it. Even without the Assault Vest, we should still live in Astral Barrage with Dialga. Focus Sash is going to keep us around with the Rapidash, and their Whimsicott, because it tricked our Dialga, is not going to be able to Tailwind this game. Which is fine. They're going to outspeed us anyway. I think the crit... Yeah, the crit Max Flare on our Whimsicott actually puts us behind a ton in this game, because it means that we don't get a Tailwind up, when we would have been able to otherwise. So that's really unfortunate. I think we do need... I don't know if we need to, but I would... Because a Play Rough plus a Flash Cannon I don't think would KO the Calyrex. So I think a Hypnosis here would be massive if we're able to land it. And we can just Flash Cannon that slot. The Whimsicott I'm not going to worry about right now until it shows me what attacks it has. I would expect Astral Barrage plus, you know, a Moonblast onto the Dialga slot, but yeah, we do take that pretty well. Rapidash, of course, living with the Focus Sash, and they Moonblast into Dialga. Perfect, so we're going to live with both Pokemon this turn. That does a lot more than I would like, but we do get the Hypnosis off, and we are going to break a potential Focus Sash on that Mon, which is very, very nice. Okay, so definitely could have gone worse. Now it's going to be about sleep turns. The -1 special attack is definitely a bummer, but the -1 special defense, I think, helps us out a ton. So what we can do here is Whimsicott can really attack into either Pokemon this turn. I don't think we gain much by targeting the Whims right now. I think, you know, we're definitely in a position where we have to max Kyogre at this point. So let's Hypnosis the Whimsicott in case something switches in that slot, and go for like a Roar of Time, because that would definitely KO the Calyrex. But they are going to switch. They take the mandatory turn of sleep. They do Moonblast into Rapidash, so this could be a KO onto the Calyrex, and yeah, we do hit the Roar of Time. Love to see the animation. And we do get that knockout. Yeah, I do think targeting the Rapidash is probably their move there. But again, not worried about the Whimsicott right now. We bring back out the Kyogre. The issue, once again, is they can just go into Zapdos. And they're going to Zacian, though. Okay. I feel pretty good about this. The worry is... Yeah, I think this turn... I think this turn they probably split their damage. They probably, play rough into Kyogre, and then, you really do need to get rid of the Dialga at some point. So I'm going to max Geyser into Zacian. That should KO as long as they don't protect. And, Dialga is just a sitting duck. In an ideal world, they target that slot with the Zacian, which would be very, very nice for us. But yeah, I think this is the only play I've got. It's... Our Kyogre is going to get outsped by everything on their end. We have a little bit of bulk, but not the most in the world. So it's really just hoping for, no special attack drops from Moonblast, no crits, no more crits. But we do have the Rain Up. Sunny Day from Whimsicott could have been likely, but they do just Moonblast into Dialga. How slow is their Zacian? They miss a Play Rough, though. That could be a game-winning miss for us, or a game-winning dodge, because we Geyser into the Zacian, get that KO. We shouldn't faint to anything the Zapdos throws at us. Because we're maxed, we can fire back with a Geyser onto the Zapdos, and then it's just us, slapping the Whimsicott. Zapdos could protect here, would feel pretty likely. But I do think I still need to Geyser that slot. Yeah, I think, worst case scenario, they don't protect. Okay. Yeah, the play, if they don't protect that turn, is definitely target the Zapdos. And that Rising Voltage does nothing. So we're going to get the KO on Zapdos now with Kyogre. Only game we're bringing Kyogre to this video. And we are just going to get the knockout. Wow. And these games, too, have just been so fast compared to most of the other ones I've played. Which is very, very nice. Keeps the pace up. But yeah, now we just Hailstorm into Whims. They are locked into Moonblast at this point. So, Moonblast, no special attack drops, hopefully. That one's my fault. That's on me. Yeah, I mean, I am very familiar with the commentator's curse. That one's all my fault. So, fine. That's fine, though. We shouldn't faint to another Moonblast, and we can just Ice Beam one more time. I think, yeah. We shouldn't be in any danger. The only downside is if they do crit a Moonblast here. That's their win con, is crit a Moonblast. So, because I said that, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a bummer. But we get the Moonblast into the Kyogre slot, we live, we wouldn't take another one because of the Hailstorm chip, and the Ice Beam back gets the KO. Wow. I really did not expect to go 3-0 today. I played yesterday with this team on stream, and it was a little tough. Most of the losses, though, were, completely, user error. I just played really poorly in a lot of games. But yeah, no, the great 3-0 day with the Trans Rights team to close it out on the channel. And we'll get you the rental code one more time, and yeah, finish off the day there. Alright, and for the last time, you see the rental code here for the Trans Rights team featuring Galarian Rapidash. Had a lot of fun with the team. I ended up performing, especially today, a ton better than I expected it would when I was testing it on Showdown. It's one of those things that I think can be very matchup dependent, and even today I don't think we ran into some extremely favorable matchups. But between Whimsicott can just do anything. That switcheroo eject button came in huge game 3. The Focus Sash on Rapidash, and if you're able to just hit those 60% Hypnosis is that can really just shift the game. But yeah, and Dialga Kyogre for the last time on this channel too, I want to just mention, so strong. They're just monsters. They can carry games in all of them themselves. That game 1 too, I went into that thinking I need to Dynamax Landorus. I maxed Dialga turn 1, and it worked out because Dialga just doesn't faint to anything. It's incredible. So yeah. Please try this team out. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You got the rental code in the screen there. Let me know how you do with it. some fun wins that you get either with the switcheroo or with the ally switch and heal pulse, things like that with the Rapidash. And let me know, question of the day again, what are your favorite regional variants? I think Galarian Rapidash is definitely up there for me. Alolan Sandslash and Sandshrew are probably top tier because Sandshrew is my favorite Pokemon, but definitely some really cool ones, and I'm looking forward to Gen 9 for what new regional variants they introduce then. I know I've seen the fighting type Tauros that has been leaked, but other than that, I've tried to stay very spoiler free. So when you're leaving your comments, please spoiler free zone down below. But while you're there, leave a follow, leave a like on the video, helps out a ton. And yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.